Should you invest in a McDonald's or a Subway franchise? A McDonald's franchise costs a lot more, but it can also make you a lot more money. A Subway restaurant is much cheaper to open, but you can't make as much money. Now, in order to open a McDonald's franchise of your own, you need to pay McDonald's $45,000. Okay, that's a one-time fee. And the cost to open the restaurant is usually between $1 and $2 million. And I'll talk about Subway in a minute. So the cost to open a McDonald's restaurant usually is between $1 and $2 million. And what McDonald's does is they require the franchise owner to have a liquid net worth of at least $500,000 to invest in the franchise. And McDonald's is awesome at training. They train you for 12 to 18 months. Subway gives you a little bit of training, but not much. Now, with $500,000 invested, what you can do is you can finance the rest of the cost to open the restaurant. Now, McDonald's interviews you, and then they decide if they want to let you open a franchise. And if they decide to let you do it, it's a 20-year franchise license. Then what happens is there is a 4% gross sales annual fee. And the average profit, the bottom line here, that's why they call it the bottom line. It's always at the bottom of the income statement. The average profit of a McDonald's franchise is actually $150,000. Okay, let's talk about Subway now, which actually passed McDonald's in 2010 as the largest franchise restaurant in the world. And the average Subway franchise owner makes a lot less, at an average yearly profit of between $30,000 and $40,000. And in order to open a Subway franchise, you need to pay Subway a $10,000 to $15,000 a fee. Okay, and that's much less, of course, than McDonald's $45,000 fee. You also need to have a liquid net worth to invest in the franchise of somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000. Now, the cost to open a franchise for Subway is about $100,000, or it's between $100,000 and $350,000, depending on your location, of course. Plus, and this is brutal, you have to pay headquarters a ridiculously high fee of 12% of your gross annual sales. Okay. Now, Subway, as I mentioned before, offers a little bit of training as well. And I actually did a lot of research on this. And I almost opened a Subway restaurant back in the 1990s. And I didn't do it because of my due diligence. And during my due diligence, I came across many store owners of Subway franchises that complain that if your store is very successful, then someone else is allowed to open another Subway restaurant not that far away from your store. Now, growing up in Canada, I ate a lot at a similar restaurant to Subway called Mr. Submarine. And Mr. Submarine was very successful in Canada, and the reason is this. It all comes down to the three most important qualities of a good real estate investment or franchise, which is location, location, location. And Mr. Submarine didn't have an advertising budget really at all. So what they did was they actually opened restaurants that were across the street from McDonald's, which worked out really well, eh? Now, the bottom line is, if you're going to open a franchise, any type of franchise, of course, understand the upfront fees, the annual fees, and most importantly, please read the fine print. Okay, meaning they can open a restaurant close to yours. And as with all matters, before you ever sign a franchise agreement or any agreement, you got to hire a lawyer to read the paperwork first. Now, if you can open a McDonald's restaurant in the right location and with enough upfront capital, I think it makes much more sense than opening a Subway franchise. And my personal investment style is to invest in a basket of high quality restaurant stocks in the long run instead. And I teach my students in my MBA degree program how to think about personal finance portfolio diversification, as well as portfolio protection and much, much more. And to check it out, please visit haroon education.com, and thank you.